Hello, Internet. Today we are going to be talking about an ecologically and economically important plant disease that affects hundreds of species worldwide, and it is called Verticillium wilt. Now, there are several species of Verticillium that are typically referred to under the umbrella term Verticillium wilt. However, we are going to be focusing on the most economically damaging, Verticillium delae and Verticillium alboatrum, the first of which targets woody plants, whereas the latter mainly impacts herbaceous plants. Despite this difference, their biology is very similar and essentially only differ with respect to their resting structures produced. Verticillium delae produces microsclerotia, and Verticillium alboatrum produces mycelium. In general, Verticillium wilt belongs to the imperfect fungal class known as deuteromycetes, which exhibit many of the same features as a regular pathogenic fungus, except that they do not reproduce sexually and are classified solely based upon their asexual structures. These structures are called conidia, which produce reproductive spores known as conidiophores. This is important as understanding the type of pathogen being dealt with is key for successful management strategies. The typical disease cycle of Verticillium wilt is as follows. Firstly, plant disease overwinters as resting structures in plant foliage and soil profile from the previous growing seasons. After the winter season, under appropriate environmental conditions with temperatures ranging from 20 to 28 degrees Celsius and the presence of adequate moisture, the resting structures will become active and begin germinating, growing towards susceptible plant roots. Like most soil-borne fungus diseases, this species will attempt to gain access inside the host plant by entering the easiest point of access, such as wound openings. However, Verticillium species are known to release cell-degrading enzymes, which allow for easier penetration. The main goal of Verticillium is to infect the host plant's vascular system, mainly the xylem structure, which is the main conducting channel for water and nutrient uptake. Verticillium spreads throughout the plant by releasing hyphae or conidiophores to colonize the plant, as well as harmful toxins that contribute to the observed symptoms. In response to the infection, the plant will activate a defense mechanism known as tylosis, which attempts to limit the disease spreading by constricting the xylem opening. Now, depending on the initial health of the host plant, the following two scenarios can occur. 1. The plant is able to recover from the infection and continue living with the disease. Depending on the plant species, it may show little to no infection symptoms and is capable of continuing its existence. 2. The plant is unable to survive the infection, will display many symptoms of Verticillium wilt, and eventually die, releasing fresh resting structures into the soil for subsequent infections to occur. These scenarios are dependent on the health of the plant, the severity of the disease, and the environmental conditions present. The disease will then return to the soil in the fall season as resting structures, which will then overwinter and repeat the disease cycle all over again. Symptoms of this plant disease are very similar to that of others, which makes it a challenge to identify and make appropriate management strategies. This is further complicated by the fact that symptoms tend to appear late in the growing season, in late July and early August, and often in combination with other plant diseases, which makes it difficult to differentiate between them. However, symptoms often include wilting and curling of leaves, discoloration of leaves, slow growth, and diebacks of shoots and branches. A defining feature of Verticillium wilt that allows for identification is the presence of dark brown streaks and general discoloration under the epidermal layer of the plant. This is the result of reduced water flow and fungal toxins traveling upwards from the root through the xylem. Diagnosis involves cutting a vertical slice of the main stem above the soil line and observing the brown color streaks. Currently, research is lacking in knowledge-based strategies for managing root infections. That being said, there are multiple management strategies that could be implemented. The best type of control is to simply ensure that susceptible plants have enough available resources to resist and endure an infection, as the disease is far more prominent in plants experiencing root stress. Ensure that contaminated materials are appropriately sanitized. Avoid planting susceptible types or plant cultivars with high resistance. Implement extended rotation with non-related crops. Apply chemicals that have a broad activity range, which has been shown to reduce verticillium outbreaks in plants. Finally, a promising alternative for controlling soil-borne diseases is the use of rhizosphere bacteria, such as Pseudomonas spp, which have been shown to be effective at combating verticillium wilt. This is the result of the bacteria colonizing an ecologically similar niche environment within the plant that fungal disease typically inhabit. This is a relatively recent area of study and should be expanded upon with emerging research. Verticillium wilt is a truly devastating disease that is capable of eliminating entire yields of crops in a single season. Due to the extensive list of susceptible host crops, which ranges over 400 species worldwide, truly one of the most important plant diseases, and as such necessitates continued research and development of new management strategies to combat the disease and ensure food security for future generations. Thanks for watching my video on verticillium wilt. I hope you learned something new and perhaps gained a greater appreciation for agricultural production.